Hey, everybody, welcome to the Black Filmmakers Matter podcast. And today we have an awesome filmmaker. Can't wait for you to meet Mr. Gordon Williams. Welcome, Gordon.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's been a pretty busy week. What about you?
It has definitely been a busy week. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Okay, so as we're setting up, I see people back and forth behind you. Tell me, what do you do?
I manage the television studio at Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. So I have the opportunity to work with students on creating content.
Oh,
So
that's
this was
awesome.
actually scheduled during a student documentary shoot. So they letting me come in for a few minutes, and then when this is over, they'll go
Wow.
in their documentary project.
Okay, and how long have you been working with students?
I have been at Lamar University working here for 24 years.
Oh my god. Yeah, so you are an educator. I knew it. So under your belt, I see writer, producer. What how many hats do you wear?
I always say I'm a writer by birth, producer by trade, and a director by necessity.
Okay. Okay. And what genre of film do you work with mostly?
Recently, it's been documentary, but I love telling narratives. Uh,
Okay. Why is that? Why narratives?
I grew up watching Love and Basketball and Love Jones and that whole era of films, The Best Man and stuff. So that was my wheelhouse, and that
Okay.
was stuff that I actually started writing. So romantic comedies and dramas.
Ah, romantic comedies. I want to write a romantic comedy, but I'm so stuck on horror.
Oh,
I'm a
really?
horror buff. Yeah. I'm gonna do that for an experiment one time one day. Um, Tell me about your most recent project.
There's several things going on. I'm blessed to say.
The example.
The example. Okay.
Yes.
So the example is a short that we shot and premiered in 2016 about the 1943 Beaumont race riot. It's a
Wow.
historical fiction short film that is set during the riot, and two fathers, one black, one white, are having to make difficult decisions to make sure they're able to take care of their families.
Okay, so what piqued your interest? What caught you to get this particular project? Why that story?
I was reading a book back in the early 2000s, and it said that there were race riots in Detroit, Los Angeles, and Beaumont, Texas in 1943. And
Okay. Wow.
growing
And
up in Texas, we're taught Texas history, and this is something that I never heard about at all. So that led my colleague and I, Y. Cagle, just to start researching the subject. And we started working on a documentary, but that didn't come together as quickly as we wanted to. So 10, 12 years later, we had all this research and we decided that we wanted to do something with that. So we took a fictional narrative that was inspired by fatherhood. My fellow producers, Kenneth and Wyatt, were going into fatherhood, and it kind of forced me to think about my
okay.
father's influence on me. So we took those feelings with the research, and that's how the example came to be.
Okay. So tell me like an issue or problem that you've run across with filming. What's the worst thing, the worst scenario? And every filmmaker I ask this question just starts smiling. Just this big grin goes across your face.
Well,
Tell me a horror story.
a horror story is always money and resources.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how you're going to bring this to life with the resources that you have.
Right.
So, and
Right.
I don't necessarily want to call it a horror story. It's definitely a
Mhm.
challenge. It's a part
Right.
of the creative process. You have to create the resources at times to get to the place to where you can create the project.
Right.
I think it's
Okay.
the process. As far as shooting horror stories, I don't have too many.
That's a good thing, you know.
Yeah, well, no, I would like to think I'm a halfway decent producer, so I just feel like with pre-production and planning,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things you can
I
minimize.
mean, no, you haven't had like some filmmakers, even myself included, may say, I've had people not show up the day we were shooting. Have you had any of that?
We've had some minor attitude situations here and there, but they were always
Mm.
quickly adjusted because people realize that we're working on this project, whatever project it is, that this is collaborative. It's not about me and it's not about you either. It's about the project.
That's
So we have to do what we need to do to get the project done.
all right. So right now you're actually teaching the young people that, it's a team effort. It's not about one individual. So that's an awesome lesson. Um, what is a good lesson you could give a young person or a new filmmaker, period? A piece of advice.
I would tell them, don't worry about having the best camera. Don't worry about having all these things that you think you need. Just go do it. You have a phone in your pocket that has a pretty good camera. Go tell a story because I
Okay.
think people want to see potential. So if you're able to show people that you have potential, I think that goes a long way. If other people see that you have potential, then those resources will you will attract those resources. People interested in being in the film industry who probably have equipment that could bring to your project. So I think it's just being consistent and moving forward.
Okay, no fair. Okay. I like that. And what's a piece of advice you would give? Because documentary making is not like, say, an action film or a comedy. Like, what's your advice to a person who would rather go into documentary filmmaking, like the research, you know, you have to do a lot of things with documentaries.
Yes, you have to focus on the story, but I think you have to be open enough to see. You might think it's going one direction, but there's research and layers to it to where it may take you somewhere else. So
Okay.
you have to be open to what you're finding in the research, but also you have to make people comfortable with you in telling their story. If you don't build that rapport with them and they don't feel like they can trust you with their story,
Right. Hmm.
there's a disconnect there. And I think it definitely shows in the final product.
Okay. So you should have a personal um connection with your subjects, with your you're not just going and saying, "Give me my story, Imma shoot you." You should have some kinda interaction and
Most definitely. A
okay.
lot of people may not be comfortable on camera. So you have to get the technical stuff out the way. You're
Okay.
bringing them into a new environment. Even if
Right.
you're shooting in their home, you're still bringing lights and cameras and all this kind of stuff. You're taking them out of their comfort zone. So you have to make them comfortable to get them to open up. I tell people,
Okay.
oh,
Okay, and how do you do that as a filmmaker? How do you
don't worry about the lights, don't worry about the cameras. You're just having a conversation with me.
okay. Okay. I
Building
like
that rapport is very important.
okay. And can you tell me um about a project that's near and dear to your heart that you've worked on before or that you would love to work on in the future?
I am working on a documentary. So I host a salsa night, salsa Latin dancing salsa night here in Beaumont
Okay.
called Salsa at Cotton Creek Winery. And we were going for 11 and a half years strong until the pandemic.
Okay.
So 2.5 years later, when we came back, we decided to document that first night back.
Wow.
We've
Okay.
done some interviews and shot some pretty dance stuff. So the title of the documentary is No Place Like Home, and it deals with what the pandemic took away from this community in Southeast Texas, not
Wow.
having that opportunity to connect to other people. For a lot of people, this was their it was their day night. It was
Right.
time to connect.
Right.
Um, just the health benefits of dance and that social interaction and all this kind of stuff. It's some people think it's just about dance on the surface level, but it's about community and healing and so much more.
Right. Okay, awesome. So tell me when did you get bit by the film bug? Like how old were you when what was the moment when you said I want to film, I want to be a filmmaker?
Growing up, I always knew I wanted to be somewhere in the entertainment industry. Uh, ev- Even in seventh grade, I was very particular in, the way I'm dressing now is the way I was dressed in seventh grade
Okay.
because I knew that I wanted to work in entertainment. So there was a look, there
Okay.
was branding, there was a style. So I mean,
Wow, okay.
I'm wearing my tie and my vest and my little derby uh, in junior high, but uh,
So you know the movie's running through my head, right? Okay.
but yeah, no, I knew I wanted to be a part of this industry, and I came to Lamar to get a degree in television production. And after I graduated and started working at a TV station, they had the first film class here at Lamar. So I decided to take that and 22, 23 before I shot my first project. So
Wow, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Is there anything you want to share with our viewers? Any projects or, you know, anything you want everybody to know?
definitely hope to finish No Place Like Home, the documentary on Salsa at Cotton Creek Winery by the end of the year. Have a short film that I wrote and produced along with Burned Out Studios
Okay.
titled She Loves Her John, which is a narrative drama
What's that
and
about?
betrayal, redemption, and if a couple should move forward after.
Okay. Uh,
And
okay.
I am currently taking the example in another project titled They Will Talk About Us, the Charlton Pollard story about a documentary about the oldest Black neighborhood here in Beaumont, two
Wow.
colleges and universities. So that's titled Beaumont's Black History in Moving Pictures. So we've had the opportunity to go to universities like Texas State,
Mhm.
Lamar University, Stephen F. Austin, Rice, and LSU.
Wow.
Yes.
You making moves. I hope all you people watching, listening, checking this out, these filmmakers are making moves. That's what it's about. Not just sitting there hoping, wishing, thinking, but like you said, picking up your phone, shooting your story, you know. Okay, Gordon. Hardest lesson in filmmaking? That's some good advice. Your hardest lesson?
Hardest lesson is you have to protect your dream. I think you have to realize who's going to speak life into you because everybody's not going to get it. So you have to be careful who you share your dream with.
That's right.
Um, and again, if you're consistent and you're being creative, I think you're going to attract all the things that you need. But you have to be careful who you're sharing your light with and making sure that you're not going to be dimmed. Your light is only going to grow brighter and expand.
All right. Now, how does a young person protect themselves from that? Or a new filmmaker who don't know what we know about protecting ourselves. How do they protect themselves from their stories being taken and
Unfortunately, it's kind of trial and error to some extent. I also believe that it's important to listen more than you're speaking.
yes, sir.
Um, there will be people that will promise you stuff and they'll do this and that, but I'm hoping intuition will inform you that this is not sounding right, or you will know, or when you have those trusted confidants that you can go ask people, okay, this person told me this. Does this sound correct?
Right.
And then you also have Google. So
Right.
you have to research.
Hmm. Okay, so we have enough technology today where you can, like you said, research. You don't just take somebody's word for it, because the entertainment, the part we're in is nothing but promises. When I first started, it was nothing but promises, which led to letdowns. So that's how I learned.
And also, yes, this is creative, but it's also a business.
Yes, sir.
So you have to focus on that aspect of it as well.
That's right. Okay, Gordon, thank you so much. Mr. Gordon Williams on the Black Filmmakers Matter podcast.
I greatly appreciate you allowing me to be on the podcast.
And what's your handle? Like your not your Facebook, your Insta. What's your Instagram handle?
Gordon S. Williams on all socials.
Okay. Gordon S. Williams on all socials. Guys, when we put up the video, we're gonna ticker tape all his information at the bottom for you.
Yes,
Gordon, thank you again. Have an awesome weekend, and please come back
will do. Thank you.
and share.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too.